So another classic film we watched that neither of us had ever seen and wanted to have seen is Eyes Without a Face.
No face.
Based, of course, on the Billy Idol song. No.
Oh.
No. You're like, I think this came out a little before that.
Yeah. Just a little.
It's funny. I thought that song might actually be about this movie at one point in my life.
Yeah.
But without really, I don't know, ever really listening to the lyrics
You
and
just
this and
love
that.
the title.
Unless I'm a completely like crazy, and it isn't. It actually is, and somehow I'm trying to think of the lyrics in my head right now, but I'm really just got the chorus in my head. I highly doubt it has anything to do with this film, but you never know.
You never know.
Okay, so because why would I know the lyrics to Billy? I keep wanting to say Billie Eilish.
I thought so
because that's what's modern, and that's what happens. Okay, Eyes Without a Face. I'll tell you this. This was surprising to me. I did not know. I thought for sure this was an English film.
Oh.
I had no idea this was a foreign film.
I did.
I did not.
Yeah.
I did not.
I knew it was a French.
It didn't matter. I didn't know it was French.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's French. Yeah.
What year is this from? The 50s? 50s?
I don't know.
50s. I want to say 57, but I don't think that's right. We watched a bunch of old classic films like this, and it was like Peeping Tom in 1960, and then The Innocents in 1961.
1960.
And then, this is the same year. Okay. It's the same year as Peeping Tom, which we just reviewed.
You Song
Wow.
Visage, or however you say that.
You Song Bong, is that what you said? That's the villains in the Star Wars books. From Legends, from the New Jedi Order. That is not canon anymore. Anyway, okay. Yeah, anyway. So...
Taglines. Beautiful women were the victims of his fiendish facials.
What was that? Release date 1962. So this is when it released in France. Then United States, it didn't come here until 62.
Yeah.
So, oh wow, we didn't get it for 2 years after it was released. Wild. Okay, so this, if you have not seen it, as far as a plot synopsis goes, I mean, really, I guess the movie. Okay, as far as like a plot synopsis, the plot synopsis really is just the film. There really isn't more to the film than the synopsis itself.
Yeah,
it's really just like a father who is obsessed with trying to graft a new face to his daughter's face because his daughter has lost her face. And he is just like determined to do anything by, killing women and taking their faces and putting it on his daughter's face so that she can be normal again.
Yeah. And
that's the movie. I mean, there's nothing more to talk about as far as like there's not a lot more to the film than that. The film is very stylistic, and artsy in a lot of ways, and very. I don't know what the right word exactly would be. I'm curious on your thoughts on this one. I did like it quite a bit. I did find it to be very like abrupt and kind of just like, as I said, that it's just that plot, and then like a couple little things happen at the end very quickly, and then it's just over.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, that's it. A
lot of these movies, though, like we always talk about old films, because honestly, like we just reviewed Peeping Tom, and that ends not necessarily abruptly, but kind of in a way. Like it just sort of cuts off. Like
that felt more complete to me.
It did feel more complete, but I don't know. A lot of these films, and I think it also has to do with the fact that like we're so used to credits at the end of movies now, and like in older films, a lot of the credits just kind of come at the beginning, and then so when it's over, it's over. But like in modern days, like we have credits at the end, and then sometimes we get an extra scene at the end too. So it's like, I don't know, it feels really different. But I liked this movie. My favorite part by far is the look and the style of the mask that his daughter wears.
Yeah, that's really
think
cool.
that her performance in the mask and
it's almost like a precursor to Michael Myers.
That's why I think I like it so much. Because I do think that she just gives such a cool performance, like with just her eyes, especially for the title of the film and, you know, everything.
Yeah.
And it's just creepy. It was so creepy, like just watching her walk around, because especially because it's in black and white too, and it's like you can definitely tell in certain shots, like you can see the line of where the mask is, but like a lot of the shots, like her skin and the mask like look almost like the same shade.
Yeah.
So it just kind of gave this really surreal effect that it just looked like she really had like an expressionless face. And so I loved that about it. And I also really enjoyed like just everything with her, the way she looks without the mask on too. I thought that was really creepy and unsettling. And yeah, I liked it. I really did like the film. I think that there are parts of it that I felt were kind of slow, I think is maybe where my biggest gripe would come from.
Yeah.
But like the overall story and her in particular, I quite enjoyed.
The film is a tad repetitive.
Yeah.
Right. Like we just kind of do the same thing a few times. With the like, oh, we need a new girl. Okay, get her to agree to it. Okay, she's here, and now we get, you know. So there is that repetitive nature to it. But one thing I was very surprised by, in a very good way, was how graphic the operation scenes were.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting to see him like cutting their faces off and like actually peeling their faces off from their. It looked good, and I was like, whoa, like this is not something we see in the 60s.
No, but in France in the 60s. Yeah, I loved that, the operation scenes. I think it's just really the one that we get like a full-on view of everything, but it was graphic. It was definitely graphic, and I enjoyed it because it's like, oh, you don't want to see anybody getting their face peeled off.
No.
But yeah, I do think that the repetitive parts, like you said, like that's what makes it kind of slow, is that it's sort of like rinse, lather, repeat a few times.
Yeah.
And so it would have been interesting to have like a little bit more to break things up. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it though.
I also found the investigatorial side of things with like the detectives who were looking into it and the guy. All that stuff just felt kind of lackluster because they were just like looking, and then they got like a lead of sorts and they went, and then it was kind of like panned out to be nothing, and then they were kind of like, oh well,
yeah,
whatever,
they sort of
we're out.
Just like,
and I was like, are you here to like pad the runtime?
No, I think it's supposed to give this sense of like impending.
I get
that.
Know,
like he's gonna get caught.
He's gonna get caught, yeah.
And then it does amount to not really anything with them. So
which is
it is like
cool,
a misdirect, you know, for the audience. Because the audience is like, yeah, they're gonna catch the bad guy, and then when he doesn't, but I did quite like the ending, like visually. Mm-hmm. Everything that happens at the end and just like the look of it, I thought that was very like pretty and dreamlike and just fit really well, even though I have questions about like what happens now. What happens to her, but I really liked it, and there's obviously a lot of symbolism and everything too with what's going on at the end. But it just I think there's a lot of great like cinematography, like these moments where we see her and it just looks really cool. Yeah, visually the film is striking. Yeah. For a black and white French film, this is not exactly surprising, right? Mm-hmm. Like they're known for their visual style and whatnot in this era. So that's expected, and it pays off in that way. But I don't know. There is something missing here for me. Mm. I'm not 100% sure what it is. I think that with the detective stuff that I was referring to, even if it is a misdirect, even if it doesn't, you know, pay off in the end as far as like what they were going after, it doesn't need to, and I'm fine with that. But do it in a way where it seems like they're gonna get caught, and then
there's like this twist of, you know, somebody outsmarts them, or it's like the build up, and you're like, oh shit, here they come, and they're gonna save the day. And then I know this happens technically, right? Because the girl's down there, she's gonna get killed, and the other girl's like maybe gonna free her, maybe isn't, maybe he's gonna kill her, whatever. And the cops are coming, you're like, oh, they're gonna save the day. So that tension is there, and might have worked in 1960. So it just might be one of those things where it just doesn't hold up to traditional or like a modern cinema in that way, where we dial everything to 11, and this is much more reserved. And so that's I don't know, maybe I'm just holding it to a standard that it shouldn't be held up against, right? Because I just think of moments in movies where, you know, you think the cops have it all pinned, right? Like for instance, like in Silence of the Lambs, when you know, Jack Crawford and them are like, they've figured out who the killer is. They're going after Buffalo Bill, and they're on the plane, and Clarice is like, okay, we got him. And then she's like, well, I'm just gonna wrap up some loose ends, and she knocks on the door, and the same thing, they're knocking on the doors, and then they open it, and James Gumb is, you know, looking at Clarice, and there's this, oh shit, like they got the wrong guy. Like this is now the tension has been ramped up. Like the help isn't coming. You know, she really is on her own. It just didn't feel that.
No,
in that moment. It was just kind of like they felt like dipshits. You know what I mean?
They just kind of did feel like they weren't trying that hard. Honestly,
like,
and like they get this random girl, like I don't know. I guess that's spoilers, but like they do have this random girl that they're like trying to use to help them find the killer, and like they put her in danger. So.
And she's the one. That's there.
She's in danger.
And they just think she like ran away. Or like something, and I'm like, what?
Maybe the film was just supposed to be like police incompetence, highlighting it.
In that way, they succeeded.
But I mean, I liked it. I think it's something that is worth a watch. Like, it's not one of those like old. Even though, like, I know we were saying, oh, some of it's kind of slow and like repetitive. Like, I wasn't bored, I would say, at any point, because visually it is striking, as you said, and I was interested overall in what was happening, but I think like if you're a horror fan, it would be good to watch it like one time. You know, I think it's worth it for sure.
I think it has every right to be heralded as like classic horror cinema.
Absolutely.
I think that it has enough going for it that it holds its place in the genre and history within the genre. So I'm not opposed to any of that. I typically wouldn't be anyway, even if I didn't like it. I'd just be like, shut up. You know, more people think this, so who cares what I think? I'm just one guy. But because I do see why it is, you know, I can say that, and I feel good about that. So would I watch it again? Maybe. Would I be like running to watch this again? No. Would I watch it again? Yes. But I don't know if there's much more I could glean off of watching it again.
I would watch it again specifically to pay more attention to her character. And everything around that, because I think that her character is really like the heart of everything. And I also want to get her mask.
This movie's like 100 years old.
It's like
fitted
to my face.
Anytime we cover a movie this old, I don't care about spoilers. It's like, dude, if you haven't seen it, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. What do you think happened to her in the end?
I don't know. I think she wanders off. I think she gets like picked up eventually and prosecuted.
No, you think so?
Yeah, I think she probably has to deal with the authorities.
I think she wanders out in the woods and dies.
Maybe that. It's one or the other. I don't think she lives a happy life after this, unfortunately.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Eyes Without a Face. I'm glad I watched it.
Me too.
It's finally checked off the list, and I can stop doing those freaking, you know, how many horror movies have you seen lists? And then, like, in the beginning, I'm always like, don't no, because I always do these older movies and I'm like, no. And then people are putting up their lists, and then I have a list, and I'm like trying to be more impressive, but then there's all these, blank areas, and I'm like, now we're getting those gone.
Yeah.
I'm doing this purely so I can get like 200 out of 200 on those lists that everyone posts. That I'm like, I've seen everything. I've seen it all. I'm like the freaking homeless vet who's on the streets.
Oh.
And you come by and he's like, I've seen things. I've seen it all. And they're like, what is he talking about? Horror movies. Just ignore him. He's seen too much. So, all right. Eyes Without a Face. What do you guys think? Are you into French 1960s cinema? I'm not, but yeah, enjoyed it enough.
Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
All right. Let us know what you guys think about this movie if you haven't seen it. And if you have not seen it, it is currently streaming on HBO Max, right? That's correct, yes. Go watch it. Let us know.
Bye.